Every few years an article comes out that says, classical music shown to lower blood pressure and is relaxing, or whatever. Usually those are sensational titles that are completely bullshit. Because while it may be true that classical music is relaxing for your casual classical music listener, the reality is much darker. Job scarcity, abuse, mental and physical, being away from your support systems, alone, isolated in a new place, hours upon hours in practice rooms, bottom of the totem pole, the fueling of mental illness, not being able to speak the language of the place you're in for an extended period of time. The list goes on and on and on. Before I quit my career, after 7 years of intense study, I had sung with the New York Philharmonic, Arizona Opera, Philadelphia Orchestra, Cincinnati Orchestra, Santa Barbara Opera, Opera de Limoges, Massy et Reims, Glimmer Glass Opera, and a slew of others. I had spent a decade fine-tuning, rehearsing, and attempting to perfect my craft. And what was my craft? Making these two little muscles in my neck come together to make beautiful sounds. I fell in love with the art form of opera when I was 18, after taking singing lessons for 2 years, mostly out of spite, because I wanted to play Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, and I didn't want this guy in my high school to get it over me. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would become an opera singer, considering I almost went to school to be a history teacher. After that first year, I fell madly in love with opera. I had finally found my voice. What I would come to discover is that I personally never felt like I had arrived. There was always someone telling me how to sing better, what could be better, how a performance was, and over time, a healthy feeling of fear and nervousness turned into a crippling and powerful stage fright that turned my dream into a nightmare. The first time I experienced a panic attack was during a rehearsal. I walked around following the steps we had rehearsed. My eyes felt like they had completely crossed together, unable to see clearly, heart pounding, a cold sweat radiating from my brow. I'll never forget that feeling of helplessness. I thought I was dying. Panic attacks and anxiety became my fervent friends. Countless performances. After the first experience, my body would be overcome with adrenaline rushes to the point that my friends I was singing with would have to put their hands on my shoulders sometimes while we sang duets together, just so that I could snap out of it even a little bit. There were moments 5 minutes before places that I simply didn't believe I could do it or would do it, that I would literally die on stage or do something so terribly embarrassing that it would be a different kind of death. I did everything I could. Therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction, Buddhism, hour-long meditations, eating gluten-free, dairy-free, lactose-free, beta blockers. Nothing worked. I was drowning in a sea of fear. All of this on top of verbal insults from directors and music coaches and conductors, and disappointments after disappointments I'd received over time. All throughout my 20s, I said, this will be my year, this will be my year, every single year. 22 turned to 25, and 25 turned to 30. I always said to myself that I put so much effort into making this dream a reality. Surely the anxiety and the fear and the opportunities would get better, that I could power through. But the truth is, no. The verbal abuse was also really fantastic too. Archaic ideas that maestro is a king, and God forbid going against what the maestro demands, and having your personhood dehumanized to just being called what you were, a tenor, a baritone, a soprano. The weight of hundreds of years and decades of performance, practice, and traditions comparing yourself to Pavarotti or Jussi Björling or Jonas Kaufmann, an impossible mountain that could never be truly climbed. Directors debasing you in front of a room of 20 people where no one came to your aid. I remember a colleague once said, "Singers are paid to sing, not think." And it was in that moment that I discovered how frustrating that was. And to this day, that thought process makes voiceover more difficult for me, because I take direction like a champ. But coming up with ideas was something that was squashed out of me. I learned to shut up, to do as I was told. And I was always chasing the creativity and joy of my high school musical days. I laughed a lot less as I started to understand that a lot of the people that I looked up to as I was coming up in the field were actually not good people. This is kind of negative. There was some positive though, I have to say. I'm very lucky that my career went in the direction that it allowed me to go. I was known in the regional circuit. I was looked to. I could sit on the couch and get a job opportunity thanks to being a tenor. I'm lucky and overjoyed that I was able to sing some of my absolute favorite works by some of the greatest composers to ever live. Puccini, Verdi, Mozart. I'm lucky. And I have to say that singing with an orchestra of 60 plus people is truly one of the greatest experiences ever. I miss it terribly, and meeting new, fantastically talented colleagues every time I went on a gig was a total dream. The music industry is brutal. I can't lovingly recommend you to go into a career in the performing arts without some serious thought and trepidation. You need money, a lot of money. You need a lot of support. You need absolute gumption. You need a thick skin. You need to put blinders on and only think about one thing: that future career. And you have to have enough foresight to think that maybe the reason you're not getting opportunities isn't because of the people around you, but because of you. It's really hard to get from point A to point B without completely losing your mind or going insane, or being neurotic or stressed out all the time. And even the best singers have some sort of scarcity mindset. If you're a performer right now and you want this, my advice to you is to stay hyper-focused. You'll know what you need to do. Keep going, take care of yourself. But there might come a point when you realize that something's not right. And when you do think about that, really take it seriously. I didn't listen for 10 years, and I wish that I had retired sooner. But yeah, that's why I quit. I quit because I wasn't sure if the career was going to kill me. So I protected myself, I fathered myself, and I got out. I wish I could be a little bit more enthusiastic about it. I'm very proud of what I did. I'm very proud of where I got, but it wasn't for me. And better to know that than to be 50 doing a career I didn't love and then be like, what now? So yeah, that's why I quit opera. Talk to you later.